Outbreak is a relative word. A modern outbreak could be a virus that kills a couple 100,000, such as the swine flu, or simply an infected shipment of food that left dozens sick. However, a look back through history reveals outbreaks so expansive, so deadly, that they essentially changed the course of history. Below are the 5 deadliest outbreaks and pandemics in history. 1. The Black Death, a plague so devastating that simply saying, the plague, will immediately pull it to the front of your mind. In the middle of the 14th century, from 1347 to 1351, the Black Death remade the landscape of Europe and the world. In a time when the global population was an estimated 450 million, at least 75 million are believed to have perished throughout the pandemic, with some estimates as high as 200 million. As much as half of Europe may have died in a span of only 4 years. The plague's name comes from the black skin spots on the sailors who traveled the Silk Road and docked in a Sicilian port, bringing with them from their Asian voyage the devastating disease, now known to be bubonic plague. 2. 1918 Spanish flu. Approximately 90 years before the 2009 swine flu pandemic killed more than 200,000 people, reports of an especially dangerous form of influenza began to appear around the world. Kansas was the site of the first U.S. case, in March 1918. Appearing in multiple countries around the world, the disease spread quickly, ushered along even faster due to the close living quarters of troops fighting in World War I. This first instance of an H1N1 pandemic would be dubbed the Spanish flu, despite the fact that it didn't actually come from Spain. It burned out quickly and suddenly, by 1919, with the explanation still unknown today. But it left the global population decimated, with a mortality rate as high as 1 in 5 and an estimated 1/3 of the world population afflicted. As many as 50 million people are believed to have died. Approximately 25 million of those deaths came in the first 25 weeks of the outbreak. 3. HIV/AIDS. This is a pandemic we're still battling. And while medicine has made great strides, making HIV in many ways a chronic condition that can be managed in many countries, the end of the pandemic still seems to be a long way away. Originating in Cameroon and first recognized as a disease in 1981, the earliest documented case is believed to be in 1959 in the Congo. As of 2011, at least 60 million people had been infected by AIDS and 25 million had died. Today, its impact varies widely across the world. While in 2008 an estimated 1.2 million Americans had HIV, sub-Saharan Africa alone was home to 22.9 million cases, with 1 in 5 adults infected. About 35.3 million people were believed to have HIV in 2012. 4. The plague of Justinian. In the year 541, rats on Egyptian grain boats brought a pestilence to the Eastern Roman Empire that would ultimately leave approximately 25 million people dead. The plague of Justinian quickly tore through the empire. Even the emperor himself, Justinian I, for whom the plague was named, contracted the disease. While he lived, many didn't, with modern scholars estimating that at one point as many as 5,000 people died per day in Constantinople, the empire's capital. By its end, about 40% of the city's population was dead, so many and so quickly that bodies were left in piles, joined by about 1/4 of the eastern Mediterranean. Modern experts believe the outbreak to be the first recorded case of the bubonic plague. 5. The Antonine Plague. Named for Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius Antoninus, who ruled during the outbreak along with co-regent Lucius Verus, the outbreak began in 165 and lasted until 180. An estimated 5 million people died from what is now thought to have been smallpox. It's believed to have begun in the Mesopotamian city of Seleucia, in modern-day Iraq, and spread to Rome by soldiers returning from the city's siege. At one point during the extended pandemic, an estimated 2,000 Romans died each day. This isn't a plague that discriminated. Both emperors mentioned above are believed to be among its victims.